where hidden treasures are often found in the most unexpected places. Today, we're spotlighting 3 ultra-rare Lincoln wheat pennies that may look worn out, faded, and forgot. But these humble coins have a remarkable secret. Despite decades of circulation and heavy wear, certain wheat pennies have become incredibly valuable, turning ordinary pocket change into sought-after collector's items. Some of the coins featured in this video have sold for thousands of dollars, and when achieved an auction price so extraordinary that it caught even seasoned collectors off guard. These pennies prove that rarity can sometimes matter far more than appearance, and that valuable coins are often hiding in plain sight. So before you dismiss that old penny jar or overlook the loose change tucked away in a drawer, make sure you take a closer look. One of these rare Lincoln wheat pennies could be waiting to be discovered in your own collection. Let's dive into today's countdown. And if you enjoy rare coin finds, valuable penny stories, and hidden treasure hunts, be sure to subscribe to Old Pennyworth for more amazing coin discoveries. Let's get started. Coin number 1. Hidden details most people miss. Now you probably understand why the 1942 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark has fascinated collectors for generations. You know its history. You know about its design. You've seen how condition and mint-made errors can transform an ordinary-looking coin into a remarkable collectible. But here's where things get interesting. The biggest discoveries are often made not by experts with expensive equipment, but by ordinary people who simply knew what details to look for. Every year, collectors report finding valuable coins tucked away inside inherited albums, forgotten coffee cans, old cigar boxes, dresser drawers, and dusty piggy banks. At first glance, these coins appear completely ordinary. They look like the same pennies millions of Americans handled decades ago. Yet hidden within those tiny copper surfaces are clues that most people never notice. Those clues can mean the difference between a coin worth only a few cents and one that commands hundreds or even thousands of dollars in today's collector market. The first hidden detail is something almost nobody pays attention to because it isn't immediately obvious. Instead of focusing only on the date, experienced collectors examine the coin under a single bright light and slowly tilt it from side to side. As the light moves across the surface, an original mint state coin displays what collectors call the cartwheel luster. The light appears to spin across the fields in a smooth circular motion, almost as though the coin is alive. This effect was created the instant the dies struck the blank copper planchet under tremendous pressure. Once a coin begins circulating, that delicate surface slowly wears away. Cleaning, polishing, rubbing, or even years of careless storage can permanently destroy this natural appearance. Most people never notice this because they instinctively look at scratches or color first. Professional graders, however, often examine luster before anything else because it reveals whether a coin has retained its original mint surface. But here's where things get interesting. 2 1942 wheat pennies may appear nearly identical to an inexperienced eye. Both may have sharp details. Both may show little wear. Yet one possesses full original mint bloom, while the other has been lightly cleaned sometime during the last 80 years. That single difference can reduce collector value dramatically. This tiny detail could change everything because once original surfaces are disturbed, they can never truly be restored. Many people believe polishing an old penny makes it more valuable because it shines brightly. In reality, collectors usually prefer untouched originality over artificial brilliance. The tiny microscopic flow lines created during striking are part of the coin's history, and preserving them is one of the keys to maintaining collector value. Now look even closer at Lincoln's portrait. Most casual collectors focus on the overall appearance, but professionals inspect specific high points first. Lincoln's cheek, jawline, beard, hair above the ear, and coat should display crisp detail if the coin has seen little circulation. Even slight smoothing in these areas tells an experienced eye that the coin spent years changing hands. What happened next shocked collectors as grading standards became increasingly precise. Tiny differences, almost invisible to the average person, can separate one certified grade from another, sometimes creating price differences of hundreds or thousands of dollars. That's why registry collectors spend years searching for examples with exceptional preservation. They understand that perfection is incredibly difficult to find among coins struck for everyday commerce during World War II. Another hidden detail lies within the color of the copper itself. Freshly struck Lincoln wheat pennies emerged from the presses with a brilliant orange-red appearance. Over time, exposure to air causes copper to darken naturally. Today, grading services classify copper cents as brown, red-brown, or red. Most people never notice this distinction because all three colors seem attractive in different ways. Yet advanced collectors know that fully original red examples are significantly scarcer than brown examples for many early wheat cents. A coin that somehow retained nearly all of its original mint color through decades of storage immediately attracts attention. The value may leave you speechless because a red designation often commands a dramatic premium over a similarly graded brown example. Storage conditions have a tremendous influence on this transformation. Coins stored in damp basements frequently develop corrosion or spotting. Others exposed to heat may tone unevenly. Some stored in old paper envelopes absorb chemicals from the paper itself, gradually changing color over many decades. Surprisingly, a naturally toned coin with pleasing color can sometimes attract stronger bidding than one with dull or unattractive surfaces. Eye appeal remains one of the most important factors influencing collector demand. Two coins with identical technical grades may sell for vastly different prices simply because one has beautiful natural color while the other appears lifeless. But here's where things get even more fascinating. The reverse of the 1942 wheat penny contains clues that countless people overlook every single day. Instead of quickly checking the wheat ears and putting the coin away, experienced collectors study every kernel and every line. Strongly struck examples display sharp definition throughout both wheat stalks. Weak strikes often leave portions soft or flat, especially toward the upper ends of the ears. While a weak strike doesn't necessarily make a coin rare, unusually sharp strikes become highly desirable among advanced collectors seeking premium quality examples. What happened next shocked collectors as population studies revealed just how few coins combined outstanding strike quality with pristine surfaces and original red color. Then come the die cracks. At first glance, they resemble tiny raised lines running across portions of the design. Many people mistake them for damage and dismiss the coin immediately. In reality, die cracks occurred when the hardened steel dies began developing fractures after striking thousands of planchets. Because the cracks existed on the die itself, every coin struck afterward displayed the same raised feature until the die was replaced. While many minor die cracks carry little premium, dramatic examples featuring large retained cuds or extensive cracking often generate strong collector interest. Most people never notice this because they expect valuable coins to look perfect. Ironically, certain imperfections created during the minting process make some coins much more collectible. Lamination errors provide another fascinating opportunity. During planchet preparation, impurities or imperfections occasionally became trapped within the copper alloy. When struck, portions of the surface later peeled away or separated from the coin. To someone unfamiliar with mint errors, this damage may appear accidental. However, genuine lamination errors occurred before the coin ever entered circulation. Collectors prize dramatic examples because they reveal the manufacturing challenges faced by the mint during the early 1940s as production increased to meet wartime demand. This tiny detail could change everything if the separation clearly originated during the minting process, rather than from later environmental damage. Off-center strikes tell another remarkable story. Imagine a blank planchet entering the striking chamber slightly misaligned. Instead of receiving a perfectly centered impression, only part of the design appears while the remaining section remains blank. The amount of missing design determines both eye appeal and value. Minor off-center strikes may sell for modest premiums, while dramatic examples retaining the full date can command significant prices. Most people never notice these because they assume such coins are damaged or counterfeit. Experienced collectors recognize them as genuine mint-made errors, documenting rare moments when the machinery briefly failed to operate perfectly. Broad strikes create another intriguing variety. These occur when the retaining collar fails to contain the planchet during striking. The resulting coin spreads outward slightly, appearing wider than normal while lacking its usual raised rim. Genuine broad strikes remain popular because they illustrate an entirely different stage of the minting process. Again, ordinary people frequently mistake them for damage, but here's where things get interesting. Understanding how coins are manufactured allows collectors to distinguish mint errors from post-mint abuse, dramatically improving their chances of recognizing valuable discoveries. Counterfeit coins present another hidden challenge. As collector values continue increasing, counterfeiters become more sophisticated. Some alter dates, others modify mint marks. Still others cast copies using inexpensive metals before applying artificial color to imitate aged copper. Most people never notice the warning signs until it's too late. Genuine 1942 Lincoln wheat pennies should weigh approximately 3.11 grams and measure about 19.05 millimeters in diameter. Significant differences deserve careful investigation. Under magnification, cast counterfeits often display tiny bubbles, soft lettering, or unnatural surfaces lacking the crisp appearance of genuine struck coins. This tiny detail could change everything because recognizing a fake protects both collectors and their investments. Cleaning remains one of the most heartbreaking mistakes in numismatics. Imagine discovering an old jar filled with wheat pennies inherited from a grandparent. Many people immediately reach for metal polish, baking soda, vinegar, or abrasive cleaners, believing they are increasing value. Unfortunately, the opposite usually happens. Professional collectors prize originality above nearly everything else. Once microscopic surface texture disappears beneath polishing scratches, the coin loses an important part of its history. What happened next shocked collectors countless times, as potentially valuable pieces became worth far less after well-intentioned cleaning attempts. Even fingerprints can become permanent over time. Natural oils left by bare hands slowly react with copper surfaces, creating dark prints impossible to remove without damaging the coin further. That's why experienced collectors handle valuable coins only by their edges or use cotton gloves whenever possible. Most people never notice how quickly fingerprints become etched into copper until years later when they refuse to disappear. Proper storage inside inert holders, low humidity environments, and stable temperatures helps preserve original surfaces for future generations. Finally, perhaps the greatest hidden detail isn't found on the coin at all. It's found in the willingness to slow down and truly observe. Millions of people glance at old pennies every year without giving them a second thought. Collectors see something entirely different. They see history preserved in copper. They see craftsmanship from another era. They see tiny manufacturing details invisible to casual observers. Most importantly, they understand that remarkable discoveries rarely announce themselves. They hide in plain sight, waiting for someone patient enough to notice the details everyone else overlooks. So the next time you come across a worn envelope of wheat pennies, an old family coin album, or a forgotten jar sitting on a shelf, remember this story. But here's where things get interesting. The coin that appears most ordinary could be the very one containing the hidden characteristic that transforms it into an extraordinary collector's piece. Most people never notice those subtle clues. You do now. And that knowledge may be the difference between spending an ordinary penny and uncovering a remarkable piece of American numismatic history. Next up. Design features plus rare errors and varieties, plus how to identify valuable examples. The moment you pick up a 1944 Lincoln wheat penny with no mint mark, you're holding far more than a single cent. You're holding a small piece of American history that traveled through one of the most important periods of the 20th century. At first glance, it may seem almost identical to countless other wheat pennies, but here's where things get interesting. Every line, every letter, every grain of wheat, and every tiny detail tells a story about how this coin was created and why collectors continue searching for exceptional examples decades later. Most people never notice these details because they focus only on the date. Experienced collectors know the real clues are hidden throughout the coin's design. Turn the coin to the obverse, and the first thing you'll see is Abraham Lincoln's right-facing portrait, designed by Victor David Brenner. Introduced in 1909 to celebrate the centennial of Lincoln's birth, this was the first circulating United States coin to feature the portrait of a real historical figure. Lincoln's calm expression, detailed beard, and carefully engraved hair strands reflect Brenner's remarkable artistic skill. Along the upper rim appears the word "In God We Trust," while Liberty is positioned to the left of Lincoln's portrait. The date, 1944, appears to the right. Since this coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, there is no mint mark beneath the date. That missing mint mark isn't an error, it is exactly what collectors expect on a standard Philadelphia issue from 1944. Flip the coin over and another masterpiece appears. Two graceful wheat ears curve upward from the lower rim, framing the denomination 1 cent and the words United States of America. Across the top, the motto EPLUBUSUNUM completes the reverse design that collectors affectionately call the wheat reverse. Although millions of Americans spent these coins without a second thought, today's collectors carefully study every line within those wheat stalks because strike quality can dramatically influence value. Most people never notice this, but sharply defined wheat kernels and crisp lettering often indicate a stronger strike and can make a premium quality coin even more desirable. The specifications of the 1944 Philadelphia wheat penny are equally important. After the famous zinc-coated steel cents of 1943, the mint returned to a bronze composition in 1944 using recycled copper alloy from spent shell casings. The coin weighs approximately 3.11 grams, measures 19.05 millimeters in diameter, has a plain edge, and consists of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. This tiny detail could change everything because the composition immediately helps distinguish a normal 1944 bronze cent from the incredibly rare 1944 steel cent. If a 1944 penny is attracted to a magnet, it deserves immediate professional evaluation. Genuine 1944 steel cents are among the greatest rarities in American numismatics and have sold for well over $100,000 depending on condition and certification. But here's where things get interesting. Although the ordinary 1944 Philadelphia cent was produced in enormous numbers, mint-made errors transformed a tiny number of these coins into highly sought-after collectibles. One of the most famous is the 1944 steel cent. These remarkable coins were accidentally struck on leftover steel planchets from 1943. Only a handful are known from Philadelphia, making them extraordinarily rare. Most people never notice this because they assume every gray-colored 1944 cent must be valuable. In reality, many altered copper cents have been plated with steel or zinc to imitate the genuine rarity. That's why collectors always verify the coin's weight, magnetic properties, and authentication by a respected grading service. Another fascinating category involves double die varieties. During die production, a slight misalignment could create doubling on letters, numbers, or design elements. On authentic double dies, the doubling is part of the die itself and appears raised rather than scratched into the surface. Collectors often inspect the date, Liberty, and In God We Trust under magnification looking for genuine separation. What happened next shocked collectors, as previously overlooked double dies were identified decades after the coins had already circulated. Even minor varieties can attract strong interest, while dramatic examples often command significant premiums. Off-center strikes remain another favorite among error collectors. These occur when the blank planchet fails to align perfectly between the dies before being struck. The result is a coin missing part of its design while leaving a blank crescent-shaped area. The value depends largely on how dramatic the error is and whether the complete date remains visible. Most people never notice this because they mistake such coins for damaged pieces. In reality, a genuine off-center strike documents a rare malfunction inside the mint and is highly collectible. Clipped planchets tell another remarkable story. Before striking, blank planchets were punched from long strips of bronze. Occasionally, the punching process overlapped a previously cut hole, creating a curved clip along the edge. Because the clip existed before striking, the finished coin displays characteristic features that specialists recognize immediately. This tiny detail could change everything because genuine clips differ dramatically from ordinary damage caused after the coin entered circulation. Broad strikes are equally fascinating. Normally, a retaining collar surrounds the planchet during striking, forming the raised rim and controlling diameter. When that collar fails, the coin spreads outward under pressure, producing a slightly larger piece without a fully formed rim. These dramatic mint errors remain popular because they clearly demonstrate one stage of the coining process that most people never see. Lamination errors also deserve careful attention. During production of the bronze strip, tiny impurities or imperfections sometimes became trapped within the metal. After striking, portions of the surface could peel or separate naturally. To an inexperienced collector, these areas may appear to be damage. Experienced numismatists recognize that genuine lamination errors originated during manufacturing rather than from later abuse, making them legitimate collectible varieties. How can you identify whether your 1944 wheat penny deserves closer examination? Begin by checking the mint mark location. Since this is the Philadelphia issue, there should be no mint mark beneath the date. Next, weigh the coin using an accurate digital scale. A standard bronze example should weigh close to 3.11 grams. If the coin is significantly lighter or heavier, additional investigation is worthwhile. Then perform the magnet test. A normal bronze cent will not stick to a magnet. If it does, stop immediately and seek professional authentication before attempting any cleaning or restoration. Now examine the surfaces under bright lighting with a quality magnifying glass. Look for crisp original details, natural mint luster, and signs of doubling in the lettering. Inspect the edge for clips, the fields for die cracks or cuds, and the overall strike quality. Most people never notice this because they focus only on obvious damage instead of studying features created during the minting process. Experienced collectors train themselves to distinguish genuine mint errors from post-mint damage, and that knowledge often leads to exciting discoveries. One of the biggest mistakes people make is cleaning old coins. A polished wheat penny may appear brighter, but collectors almost always prefer untouched originality. Abrasive cleaning leaves microscopic scratches that permanently reduce value. The same warning applies to chemical cleaners, wire brushes, and household polishing compounds. What happened next shocked collectors countless times, as potentially valuable coins lost much of their premium after well-meaning owners attempted to improve their appearance. Counterfeit and altered coins also require caution. Some deceptive pieces have had the date modified, while others have been copper-plated or steel-plated to imitate famous rarities. Genuine valuable varieties display characteristics created during the minting process, not after the coin left the mint. Professional authentication remains the safest path whenever a coin appears unusual or potentially valuable. The value may leave you speechless because one overlooked detail, a genuine mint error, exceptional original red color, or a rare off-metal strike, can separate an ordinary penny from one worth thousands of dollars. That's exactly why collectors continue searching through inherited albums, forgotten jars, estate sales, and bank rolls every single day. They understand that history often hides in plain sight, and sometimes the smallest coin carries the biggest surprise. Next up,